It's no secret that Marvel Snap sometimes hits lulls where not everything is as exciting as you want it to be. When that happens, I look for a feeling in all the wrong places, and I gotta tell ya, this was a really successful quest for a feeling. That's right, I've been playing Arishem, and I gotta tell ya, it kind of feels like the last refuge of filthy tech-based gamers like myself, because at least they have to respect that I might have every single tech card ever printed that has ever existed in my deck. Now, Arishem is a deck that gets, I think, a little bit of a bad rap, but right now it's as well positioned as I could ask it to be, which is to say it naturally has a pretty solid advantage over the super finicky mid-rangey decks just by outpointing them. It naturally has a bit of a disadvantage against any of the combo decks, but by virtue of running as many tech cards as it does, it gets to pull that disadvantage back a little bit into its favor. Fundamentally, this is just kind of the last deck that can play 6 tech cards that exists. We have gotten to the point where this is the only deck that is capable of this. Arishem is the new Sarah tech. As for the specific list that I'm playing, I am playing Teebs' list from the Golden Gauntlet. I think that it is by far, and very clearly to me, the best build of Arishem for the current meta, with the most things focused on what is relevant right now. If you want to make a change to this list, I almost would wonder if that change is removing Thanos before making basically any other change. This is a deck that is perfectly tuned to the current metagame. I had an obviously incredibly successful run with it, climbed almost 200 SP. You really can't get mad at a deck that climbed you that high. But fundamentally, this is just a deck that happens to have all the answers. You are not always going to see them, but all the answers to everything that is happening in this metagame exist in this deck. And there are very few decks, vanishingly few, that you can say that about. Merlin is just a very solid 2-cost card. If you're looking for a replacement, I think Iron Patriot is a perfectly serviceable replacement. What Merlin is really doing is alleviating some of those later turns in Arishem where you just have stuff to do, but it doesn't feel your curve meaningfully. And Merlin is just really filling in for that. He's extra location control. He's cards you get to play. He just gets enough value here where it's like, oh, okay, I get to play above curve, but that's not really all that good. And then Merlin polymorphs your above curve play into an even more above curve play. That kind of stuff is sort of like getting a second roll on your random generation. It's just a really nice thing to have access to. The one he's going to use the least is the one where he gets you 2 energy. You are not typically interested in that one. It's not great, but at least it does something some of the time in certain matchups, clog, various locations that put squirrels everywhere, that kind of stuff. You will have some willing participation from Merlin there. And of course, location change plus 2 power. You love that from a 2-drop. In much the same way as Agent Coulson used to be made for Arishem, when you could play Agent Coulson on 2 and Agent Coulson gave you your 3 and your 4 to play on turn 3 and 4, or your 4 and your 5 to play on turn 3 and 4, I should say. Valentina is custom made for Arishem in the sense that this is, and I want to be super clear about this because I think there's like some debate over this, so I want to end it. Valentina is the best 2-drop for Arishem, period. There's other things that compete for 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Valentina is the best. It gives you a really relevant card to play with your 4 energy on that next turn. This is a great way to get extra power, to accelerate onto the board, and to build towards your sort of Eliathy occasional endgame like that. This is the best 2-drop to play in this deck. When you're talking about replacements, I think it's much easier to replace Merlin than it is to replace Valentina. Obviously, Iron Patriot comes pretty close. Very easy to substitute for either of them, but if you have an Iron Patriot and you're like, what do I cut, Merlin or Valentina? You cut Merlin. At first glance, Spider-Punk may look a little bit awkward, and I understand why that would be, but it's just a pretty good card for you to be playing. You have Merlins to get extra 1s, you have Thanos Stones to get extra 1s, so you're very often able to play this plus a 1 on your 4 energy turn 3. That's a really good thing to do. It's just a very solid card that allows you to redistribute points later in the game. That's a really really important thing for a deck like this. And of course, it is sort of soft move tech, not in a real way, but it does give you a little bit of like, all right, I'm going to shrink this Human Torch, right? I'm going to make sure they get less ridiculous. It's not good move tech, but it has that ability occasionally. This is good move tech. Of course it is. It's Mercury. She's the GOAT. Now, she's really, again, in here to be an anti-move card. The major draw of this deck is that it gets to be a Mercury deck, a Shadow King deck, a Cosmic Ghost Rider deck, an Enchantress deck, an Alioth deck. It gets all of these things, and the cost it pays is all the random bullshit that you have to deal with, but that's okay as long as this happens enough of the time. Mercury is a requirement to deal with this metagame. You just have to deal with it. You can't do anything about move if you aren't doing this, so you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to play Shadow King. You have to pull out all the stops you can to beat that deck, because the things that beat you are the things that go over the top in meaningful ways. You need to prevent them from going over the top. Shadow King's kind of an all-star right now. Great into move decks if you can time him right so you don't get Cos mode. Great into all of the like weird little, like I played against a lot of like soft Hydra Stomper, Craven, Sam, Batroc stuff. Great into that. Great into people playing the new Spider Punk, especially like if move goes in on Spider Punk. It's really, really good to just be able to be like, all right, you know, maybe I don't get everything back, but I at least get all of my cards back. I shrink maybe some of theirs. There's just a lot of green power. I didn't even mention the zombies. I didn't mention Werewolf by Night. A lot of things that beat Arishem are things that lose to Shadow King. And I think it is arguable for me, he might be the most important tech piece in the entire deck because of that. Cosmic Ghost Rider is a wonderful catch-all. Being able to play Cosmic Ghost Rider on 4 is a great thing to be able to do. This is your catch-all for Jocasta. It is a catch-all for Madam Web. It is a catch-all for Invisible Woman First Steps. It is a catch-all for Captain Carter. It is a catch-all for Iron Man. It is a catch-all for Moonstone. It is a catch-all for Victoria Hand. Whatever it is that you want to deal with, he's going to get the job done. Is he going to be able to deal with those cards in every situation? No, but he'll deal with them in most, and that's all you need. Remember, this deck is focused on not letting your opponent go over the top of you. If you let your opponent put a combo together, they're going to go over the top of you. You can't let that happen. And there are some combos that you can't meaningfully address with your tech cards like Mercury and Shadow King. So you need to be able to address them before they happen rather than after. Mr. Scam here, Legion, is purely here to just like find ways to randomly BS your way out of otherwise losing matchups. Oh, Legion Altar of Death, Legion Nexus, Legion, just anytime there's a location that matters, this guy gets much better. One of the things this deck does very, very well is sort of selective RNG, which is to say between Merlin and Legion and Redstone and your cards that have the ability to move and just various other things, a lot of locations seem to impact you less than they impact your opponent. And this guy's a pretty important part of that. And you have a lot of ability to like proactively screw over people with locations. This is a pretty good card for those reasons. You know, when we were talking about Cosmic Ghost Rider and I started naming cards, and I like probably about 5 out of the 8 cards I said were cards that Enchantress deals with, and that speaks to where the metagame is at, right? There's just a lot of ongoing combo, whether that be the sort of Onslaught, Sarah, vomit a bunch of threes thing that's like fairly popular at high elo, or the Mr. Fantastic Onslaught stuff, or the much more common Victoria Hand stuff, or the kind of things that you see where it's like, I am going to be a full ongoing deck playing both Captain Americas. Maybe my top end is like a Moonstone and Iron Man, occasionally a Spectrum. Whatever it is, you just need answers to that crap. A good Cerebro player will never expose themselves to this, but maybe you can get some of the ones that are willing to expose themselves to this. It's otherwise a pretty bad matchup. It's not really what this card is here for. The fact that it just like randomly hits Madam Web and you can do it on turn 4 is a really important part of what this card does. Just generally a great card to have around, because in the fail case, it is a 5/8. You are very happy just being able to play a big body very early. Alioth is a good card, but I actually kind of wonder if he's not a little superfluous to requirements at 6/8. Like, I've thought about it, and it's like, all right, Alioth is a card that makes me feel great about certain situations, but is he actually better than, like, running Magneto? And I think that's a lot closer than you think it is. There are definitely going to be situations where Alioth is like the nuts. He's the greatest card ever. But so many people respect the Alioth out of this deck that it gets a lot worse. And that is the God's honest truth. Everyone knows this deck has Alioth. People respect it more than any other 6-drop. And that has led to a lot of times where we're just like, yeah, I'm just going to play like a Thanos instead because it's more points and I'm not worried about what they're doing. Obviously, it's still a good card, but it's a little like I'm cognizant of the fact that maybe it'd be better to just play a big guy, or like, is there a 5 that's really big? Like that kind of thing really, it makes me wonder. I talked about how Shadow King's like the most irreplaceable tech card in the deck. Mockingbird is the best card in the deck. This is the card. This is a free 9-power card. That is what this deck does. You are playing Thanos, you're playing Arishem. This card is free. Realistically, it's more like 2, right? But you will go out of your way to try to make sure this card ends up being free. And part of what has made this deck better recently is there's a lot less Mobius running around the metagame. Because there's a lot less Mobius running around the metagame, this card is way freer, way more often. When it was taking a lot of pain from everyone playing Mobius only a few weeks ago, that was a very common thing where like a lot of why this deck has been pretty mediocre recently is a lot of people are splashing cards that are really good against it, splashing Mobius, things like that. Mobius is really good against Thanos. Mobius is really good against Mockingbird. That's a lot of the power of this deck. And it gets a lot better when people just aren't doing that at all. I go back and forth on Thanos in the Arishem deck. I really do think it's a bit of a debate. And I wouldn't say confidently that I want Thanos in this list 100%. I think that this is maybe card 11 or 12 in this deck. I'm not positive. Like, it's just something that's entered my mind a lot, which is like, this guy is good, but when he's really the best is when I am able to just play him out on 5. Like, that's what this card is doing. The whole point of Thanos in this deck is, you get Space Stone, you get Thanos, you effectively have 2 cards that say that they are Thanos, you get him out there early and he's just a big guy. You're trying to do your best to do the old pseudo Thanos started in hand thing, right? Like that's what you want him for. A lot of the rest of the time, he's just like kind of there. Now, what he is good for is just being 12 power. This is a lot of why I was thinking about what I was thinking about with Alioth, because one of the biggest weaknesses that this kind of deck has is that there's very often like 1 slot open in every lane. And if they just calculate for Thanos in every lane, they can beat your ass. Now, that's not a common thing to do, but it is a notable weakness of decks like this, where it's like, especially if you start cutting the Thanos, and now it's like, what am I calculating for in every lane? Probably Mockingbird, right? That's something you can do too. And so you just have this card where it's like the best thing he does is just say that he has double-digit power on him, which is sort of why I was thinking about the Alioth thing. Those are the 2 cards that I'm the least sure of right now. Arishem is Arishem. You like having extra energy, and this is the shell that provides you the most amount of cheated power in various ways to play a tech deck with. It's really that simple. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been KMBest. You have been phenomenal. We're going to jump into some gameplay right here. I hope you enjoy it. Remember to like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one.
The universe shall be
A little smaller than it used to be. A little more zoomed out. Yeah, I don't know how that happened or why that happened. Everything looks a little more zoomed out on my screen. Very odd.
Opponent snapped.
All right, I mean... Very interesting. Okay. This order right or wrong? A different layout, it looks like. Yeah, it looks weird, and I don't understand what's going on. Not my ideal situation, for sure. But it's probably a cannonball middle, and I think we beat that anyway. Sure is.
Victory will arrive.
It's just like, I feel like if I'm going to be able to continue doing them, I really have to, like, you know, not be like that. The game generated Dakin and Samurai for me, and I didn't even snap it. What a fucking moron I am. Okay, it's just a 3-4. Garbage. They get my Kang that does nothing. Rocks. All right. Ooh, do I draw another Mockingbird? Is that what happens? I feel like I'm confident enough to snap aggressively and get at least 2 before they run. Glad. Mad stinker. Holy shit. The way this goes is Sentinel, Sentinel, I believe. Sentinel, Sentinel. Then next turn, play Thanos. And then I have 2 free Mockingbirds. About what I do with them. Isn't it? That's just the Kang. All right. And the question is, can they beat much power on the left? 13. I would imagine they think they can do so and probably cannot do so. But I'm not confident enough in what this Esme could have given. If I get Iron Man here, I'm going to shit myself in the eye. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to lose here, right? Oh no, I win. Okay. I mean, I did calculate for the V-hand. I was pretty sure I would V-hand this shit up. But yeah, you're a -3. I'll take it. I'll take a fat 8-cuber for like 10 seconds. Oh, shit! Gotti, 1836. Taking advantage of the 35% off like a real one. Oh, my God. Beast mode. Absolutely beast mode game. I respect that I'm probably going to get my shit kicked in here. But I'm hoping that they're actually snapping on, like, the sandbar. And not whatever combo they have. But I'm hoping. Oh, fuck.
Ego, and this is my domain.
I snap this back. Probably not with that play. Ryan with the resub. Thank you so much. This seems like I'm losing, dog. Seems like I'm losing, dog. That is their cheapest card? Holy fuck. All right. Got a real cheap Mockingbird here. Wow. What the fuck? Sam Wilson, you piece of shit. God. Has anyone ever been this owned? Nuts. All right, do something good, please. My album of the year so far? Come on, man. You already know. You already know what it is. Boy, I mean... I think I'm dead. Please don't be a zombie giant man. Anywhere, really? Oh? Oh! Egoed. Let's go. You know what it is. Yeah, you know what it is. It's the clip set. But it kind of pisses me off that we realized that the MVP should go to the best player when LeBron missed so many due to voter fatigue. Like, it actually does sort of annoy me, I'm not gonna lie. How does Nightmare interact with Valentina? I'm assuming the right way. Ooh. Nice. Yeah, that's basically what I think, Marshall. What the hell deck do they have where they could even have 17 is kind of my question. Show your bicep, pay me. I basically agree with that, Timo. Like, Jokic has just been that dude. All right, man, if you rope snap a play like this, I gotta imagine you're sniping me. But who can say? This is like a Titania fog thing happening. No? All right. Misery Moon Girl Frigga. I can still lose, but I gotta imagine I gotta snap it. Oh! Oh, you just gotta feel bad about it. Hmm. Hmm.
What are the odds?
I'm about to do the coolest play of all time. I don't know if it's going to pay off, but it is insanely cool. No! Oh. Devastating. I'm forced into doing it now. For the face. I regret that. It's actually pretty funny. Yeah, peak accolades or longevity most. I don't know if there's a most there. Just a lot of is. Why did they do that? Were they just like, oh, he's gonna move some shit? I ain't.